Don't mean to sound bitter, don't mean to upset. You're the one that I long for. What did you expect? All I know is you can't see me and it feels so low. All I am is a wild man howling for you. You go down smooth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Live in the Studio. Today we are very excited to welcome Jake Haldenvang. How are you, dude?
What's up, man?
It's so good to have you. I met you quite a long time ago, but it was very, very brief. But we have some mutual friends too. I want to kind of open the floor and just say, will you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you for people who maybe haven't met you yet?
Cool. My name's Jake Haldenvang, and I'm a guitarist, singer, somewhat of a storyteller, songwriter, and yeah, I'm here talking with you guys.
That's
what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, you're local to the Charlotte, Carolinas area, right?
Yeah. I reside in the Charlotte area, and have been for 18 years.
Yeah.
So
now, throughout that time, you've pretty much been, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but you've been playing music for what sounds like 15, 16 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a couple of years after my family moved from the West Coast, I just, always grew up around music.
Yeah.
So I started really taking an interest when we kind of was we were enveloped into this blues swampy scene. That's
very cool. Where were you on the West Coast?
California, Temecula Valley.
Okay, I was in San Jose.
Yeah?
Growing up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Till about 12 years old, actually.
Really?
Yeah, straight up. I moved from the Bay Area.
Would you ever go back?
Down here.
Would you ever live there?
Would I go? I don't think I could afford to, dude. That's impossible. It's they rank within the top 10 most expensive places in this country, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They kind of float around between 7 and 3 at certain points, but no, San Jose is insanely expensive. I have an older sister that lives out there right now, and I think she works 3 jobs at one time, and 2 kids, and her husband works for Ford. So they're not they don't have bad jobs. It's just outrageous.
I feel horrible for people out there, man.
It's
I feel like the state should just pay people just to live there.
You can clear $150,000 out there as one person and still be drowning. It's not comfortable. It's insane. Yeah. I love visiting. We still have family out there. I have family in Riverside too.
Mm-hmm.
Riverside and Porterville are where kind of both sets of my grandparents are spaced out at.
That's where my grandparents are too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's insane. But yeah, so I moved out here 12, 13 years old. Well, Virginia first at 12, and then here a year later.
Yeah.
But
we moved from there to Arizona and Utah for a year, and then we found it.
Then ended up in the Carolinas. Awesome. Yeah. Well, in that, when did you said you started playing at 12, 13?
Right.
And then what has your journey with your musical background been kind of through that?
I just grew up around rock music and blues. So my dad listened to blues, my mom listened to 80s stuff, and they kind of met in the middle. Okay, I'll listen to GNR with you. AC/DC. My mom doesn't like AC/DC, but that was Christmas music for us.
Okay,
and so my mom was all right, time to put on the Carpenters.
It's better. I don't know if you're a Christmas music fan, but it sounds better than Christmas music to me. I don't like listening to Christmas tunes, but
I'm not huge on it.
She's all about it. She loves it. We were the opposite there. I got 2 or 3 that I've learned to like, but mostly because she sings them real good, and so they
I bet
are near and dear to me through the years.
Yeah, you've got a great voice. Both of you guys have
Thank you, thank you. You too, man.
Thanks, man.
I remember being pretty taken back with your voice when I first heard it, and you were still pretty young. You'd have been 18, 19, I guess, because that's how old I was, or the same age.
So I guess we met around 10 years ago.
Yeah, brief. Yeah, I don't even know if we met so much as somebody was like, "Hey, that's Jake. You should meet him." And I was like, "What's up, Jake?" And then just moved by. It wasn't a very formal meeting.
Right.
I learned a little bit of guitar.
Hello, human.
Yeah, I learned a little bit of guitar from one of your old friends who's I don't know if you're still friends with him, but Sean, way back when.
Yeah, still friends. We haven't talked much.
Sean and I kept up up till about like a couple years ago, and
Cool.
would hang out a little bit. But I played a lot with Sean between like high school years.
Shout out to Sean Hickey.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. Your picture was his dad teaches guitar.
And Jim Hickey.
Your picture was always in the studio with the little like blues trio from way back when, or I don't know what kind of trio it was. What kind of trio was that?
Yeah, it was very much a blues trio. That's actually kind of makes me think of kind of Hendrix and the Band of Gypsies.
Okay.
Because that was what I kind of identified with at the time.
What you were playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are your like I don't know, top couple influences for you as far as like you could be?
Well, that had a huge impact on
Yeah.
me for sure. When I, kind of discovered that, I was like, oh, it's over. This is it.
Yeah.
I mean, and just kind of all of Hendrix stuff. I mean, yeah, as a songwriter and a guitar player, this musicianship was just insane. But I don't know. I mean, Otis Redding, man, like
Okay.
Just the kind of R&B vibes.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder
Yeah.
had a huge impact on me as a singer.
Yeah.
And his writing as well. It's just, again, his musicianship was insane. Is insane. As a guitar player, Lightning Hopkins, old blues guys. We played with Howlin' Wolf. Joe Bonamassa, he was a huge influence on me when I was younger. It was like a DVD that a friend of mine named Rich, a friend of the family's, he gave me of Joe Bonamassa playing in Germany at Rock Palace.
Okay.
And man, that set was insane.
I saw a video. I don't know if you keep up at all with like YouTube content, but like Rhett Scholl. You know who that is?
Who?
Rhett Scholl. Do you know who that is? Okay, he's a guitar player that's fairly big. I think he's out of like Atlanta, but he's like
Atlanta's a huge music
big in with like a couple like music stores, and one of the guys there, I want to say it was is it like Norns in Nashville, Rare Guitars, something like that. They like toured it. And he had like I think it's called Norms, right?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
He has like some of the first models of like Telecasters, and he basically was like holding on to one for what had to have been like 20, 30 years, and he selling it to Joe Bonamassa. Which was pretty cool.
That's crazy.
He was like, I
think that Joe is probably on camera talking about that exact.
Really? Yeah.
Right,
I mean, he basically was like, if it was anybody else, I wouldn't even let it. Like there was an element of like, you had to be even just a certain level of like respected player for that guy to even be willing to sell it to you, because that guitar was like so pristine. But yeah,
that's huge.
My influences like were pretty much like first CD I think I ever really like gelled as far as just I guess identifying with like the emotion in the music was like Linkin Park. That was like one of my very first CDs was Hybrid Theory. I think it came out like the day before.
I listened to that till the wheels came off.
My 5th birthday, I think, and my dad brought it home for me and I had like headphones on, volume on 12. All those bands like played in the Bay Area a lot too, so there was a lot of like buzz around them, like when those bands would come out. Like I mean, kids would, like anytime I saw somebody playing guitar, I was hearing like a 3 Days Grace riff or something like that. A lot of those bands.
That's got a special place in my heart too.
That I would just hear the music and be like, oh man, this is so like, there's something about this. And I didn't play for quite a few years after that.
That stuff is really, really good for angsty.
There was a rawness
kids,
to it. Yeah. There was a rawness to it that like really just kind of jumped out at me at that age and kind of hooked me as far as that.
It's either that or Simple Plan. I'm gonna go with like 3 Days Grace or like Linkin Park.
Linkin Park was my first one, and then for guitar, I was telling you I was always learning like August Burns Red riffs growing up and trying to pick out like metal bands for guitar playing. That was a big thing for me. But then for songwriting, I didn't start that till quite a bit later. So, have you ever heard of like City in Color?
City in Color.
Yeah.
That sounds like a record.
His name is Dallas Green. He's really, really solid writer. He judged like Guitar Center's songwriting contest a couple years ago. He did a record with Pink, which is kind of like a weird little
crazy.
like he did like a folk record with Pink. It's actually insanely good.
Wow.
They did like a duo, almost like Civil Wars ish.
Wow.
Kind of sound. It's really cool.
I wish they were still together.
Yeah, we do too. We pull from. They were one of our big influences when we started playing together.
I wanted to talk about a couple more influences.
Go for it,
just to
dude.
like,
go for it.
Just to give homage,
Yeah,
like
get 'em out there.
just Zeppelin and like some like stuff like Elvis Costello and just stuff like that. Like a little bit of like Black Sabbath and like a little bit of stuff like Arctic Monkeys. Like I really love that kind of stuff, and Bruno Mars.
Yeah. I watched a video of guitar player Mateus. You know who that is?
Mateus Asada.
Playing playing a solo for the Bruno Mars tour in like I think it was like Tokyo or something like that. That was insane.
Yeah. That guy
He's on a whole other level of just.
We're not gonna talk about him.
Dude, it's so good though. So good. Him
Pulls
and,
things
like,
out of thin air that you would never
Tim
imagine.
Henson, like that dude is insane too. Like modern guitar players.
Yeah.
Like
I love that stuff too.
They're able to string together. This is what I've noticed, and this is as somebody that can't do like hardly any of the techniques that you watch people play like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're able to take techniques that are like really complicated if you were just gonna learn one of them and just like stack them all to where they're moving between like hybrid picking to like like I mean sweeping but not even just like almost like a mixing in like stuff that you would normally see in like classical with like stuff that you'd see in like metal and the economy
very articulated.
the economy picking of all of it, and it's just like I don't even know how that gets that clean. Like in theory I could play it if you like half the tempo, but
it's like sweeping but evolved in a way.
Do you have a like part of guitar playing that's sort of like escaped you that you like want to work on but you haven't got to work on?
Yeah, absolutely. What we're talking about right now.
yeah. Like what's like the thing that stands out for you? Like,
like stuff like that. I mean, I do a little bit of hybrid picking, but not that sort of guitar player.
Go ahead.
My girlfriend's like really good at sweeping, and I'm like,
really?
How do you
That's
do
awesome.
that?
That's awesome.
How do you do
your
that?
girlfriend plays too?
The most sweeping I can do is more of a raking, kind of like bluesy rake.
Okay.
There's like kind of in between notes.
Do you guys play together at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like live or anything?
We're trying to.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah,
we're definitely trying to do that.
That is a thing that, well, I don't know. It's probably not the same for everybody, but for us, that took time. Like, we started trying to play together when we were dating, and we kind of argued a lot. Like, just being totally real. Like, I gotta say, there's like relationally, it was like, let's work on like making sure we're good.
Yeah.
And then not start fighting about the musical process. But we were pretty young.
I totally
I
understand.
feel like you guys were probably a little more mature than we were. We were like 18. We were like 18, 17, trying to work out playing together.
Yes, we are much more mature.
You got 10 years. That's all I'm saying.
No,
that kind of thing. But
we bicker about things a little bit,
Yeah.
But most of the time we're good.
Singing was tough for us because I sucked when I started. I was so rough, dude. Like, I mean, you heard some of what we do now, but I probably did like 3-4 straight years of vocal coaching to get to a place where like I didn't feel like I was just playing catch up. And then I started tracking records for other people, and I ended up doing a couple for some singers that were like just way beyond me.
Is he being modest?
Oh, yes, but not.
I'm not being modest about the fact that I sucked at the beginning.
Yeah, that part's
that's not exaggerating.
That's just
at
transparency.
Yeah, we all suck.
That's just real.
We all sucked at one point.
All the other instruments came like pretty quick, but vocally it was totally different type of thing. It was just so disconnected from like playing anything with your hands or whatever.
I'm the
Totally
opposite.
understand.
I'm the opposite. Singing's easy, and playing anything is just
Singing's
like
easy.
climbing a mountain for me. But
Yeah,
I'm getting there.
She's one that like she'll like mess around like we'll just try this, and it like sounds like 95% of the way there. You're just like,
Nice.
Nice. How did you start singing like right when you started playing? No. How long did that take?
No, I like I said, I started playing live like almost immediately. I picked it up like I just turned 12, and I was just I want to play.
Yeah.
And I want to stop playing baseball because I was.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, and as soon as I started playing, my parents would watch me on the field, and I would be like playing air guitar.
Yeah.
Instead of like watching the ball and watching the game.
That's kind of awesome though.
So they were like, okay, I think it's time. And so they took me out to blues clubs, and I was really nervous, and they just kind of threw me in the ocean.
Have fun.
Yeah. And it was great that they did that because it just forced me to try to be comfortable in the uncomfortable environment.
It takes time. I don't know I don't even know like if I'm there yet. Like I've been playing for quite a long time. I mean, and there's pieces of it that never got comfortable, and there's pieces of it that like the uncomfortable just mattered less to me. You know what I mean? Like where you're just like, well, this is uncomfortable, but okay.
Yeah. But my dad started singing, with within the blues club things that we would go to, and playing a little bit of harmonica, and I was playing, a lot of older cats, and just in like a town hall or whatever that was just open for us to jam in, and we started a blues club together, and like my parents were very involved, and we started playing shows up and down the East Coast and played like hundreds of shows a year. And,
that's awesome.
Like a couple years in, I started wanting to sing. I wanted to start singing. And
so that kind of came out from you.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know why I wanted to start singing. It's partly necessity in a way. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but
just sort of happened.
I remember, I think I remember like the first thing that like really spoke to me in the way that I was like, I feel like I could do that, or I feel like I want to do that, like legitimately, was like Stevie Wonder, and the way, just the soulfulness that would come out of him. So
for me, it was writing. Like I was in and around a lot of songwriters growing up, and I would like sit in on writing sessions, but for the most part, I was just playing guitar for them, and like I'd just be around while that was happening, so I could kind of start like working out riffs in the background, like as like being in bands, and the people who are doing like most of the writing are there writing, and I'm just like kind of overhearing it and like trying to come up with riffs that are kind of ready to go, so I can start messing around as soon as it gets to be my time or whatever. And like that band I was in for like 5-6 years, and I think somewhere in there, I think I was just around it so much that it kind of came out. Like I was like, oh,
that's awesome.
Let me just try. Like, and for whatever reason, I just remember sitting down trying to write something. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure if I looked back at it now, I'd be like, that's terrible. But it came easier than I would have thought it would have. And so I started writing first, and I had an ear for melody just from playing so much. Yeah. That I kind of knew what I wanted a melody to be, but then I would like come up short in trying to actually sing it. And so then it was more about like, okay, well, I wrote this composition, and now I gotta like be able to get it out there, and so then it was just kind of like doing the legwork to where I could actually sing what I wrote and or had in my head. I
didn't really take vocal lessons. I just wailed and screamed until I could like get somewhere close.
It worked. Yeah.
Did you it was really just listening to like Miles Kennedy over and over again. Like, I want to be able to do that so bad, and like there were moments where it did happen, and most of the time it would just my voice would just kind of split, just be like, nah, we're not doing this.
You're done. You're done. Yeah, for sure.
And the grittiness started to like come.
Yeah, was that natural, or did it like that just came out at some point?
At first, it was unnatural when I would sing live. Yeah, because I was doing things that were like much older, singers, and like it wasn't happening for me, it sounded very enforced, and the gravel, I could do it, but it just didn't sound right. It became natural. It started to sound like like I started listening to like Chris Cornell at that point. And I was probably like 15, 14 or 15 when I discovered Soundgarden.
Dude, I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like that was kind of like you were talking about baseball. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was kind of my other thing that I was doing as a musician.
Sick.
And kind of like that I transitioned out of to be a musician for full time. And I probably did that for 7-8 years. And our instructor was in love with Soundgarden. So Soundgarden was on in the gym for me 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Every day. There's like certain songs where it's just like they come on and I'm like, I'm doing laps right now, or I'm like,
Yeah.
like I just flash back to being like extremely tired, and but the music was something that it did have an energy to it that was sort of motivating.
Very
Certain
impactful.
times where you're like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool.
So around when did you start like songwriting and stuff?
Around 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wrote my first song with a producer. God, the name escapes me. It was Gary something, but it was
Shout
a
out
song.
to Gary something.
Yeah. Oh God.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
It was in Clarksdale, Mississippi, of all places. I wrote it with him, and he's a producer. I haven't thought about this for just ages. But there's a song called "Tell the Truth," and it was on a record that I did when I was, still playing in the band with my dad, and it's a cool recording. It's a good song. I like it still. It's started doing it around then, 14. Mm-hmm.
Now, like, as you've kind of gotten older, because you're 28 now, so like you've been in it for 16 years. What's the last like 5 years kind of been entailing for you?
It's been like 3.5 years since The Voice, and that was
Quite a big thing, I'm sure.
yeah. yeah, absolutely. And it was a great experience. It was also very eye-opening, and like it was kind of tenuous for me because I was kind of struggling with trying to understand what the story is I want to tell, and also kind of my identity as a musician.
Yeah.
Because I'm so eclectic. It's like it's kind of a curse, I love so many different things, and I've done like, bits and pieces of a lot of, different things from, metal to blues,
Yeah.
and I love it all. So, I kind of experienced that. It kind of hit me when I was on The Voice that it was like, I've always been faced with like having to choose, but it really became like big stakes,
Yeah.
because if I go any way that I go is going to be the way that I would be perceived.
Yeah, it's like if you take like one step in a direction I'm sure like to everybody and on television, it feels like you're all the way over there already. Like it's just by doing one song or the other, I guess, right? Like what'd that look like as far as like a decision? Is that just picking like what songs you're gonna do, or picking like
just like what songs I'm gonna do and what I'm gonna do with them, because I have this habit of wanting to flip things on their head and just try to like do a completely new rendition of a song. Maybe I want to take like a song that's typically a female vocal song and like adapt it, or just like I said, just do a completely different rendition of a song that,
right.
And a lot of times it just kind of, it's not as cool as I think it is, sometimes it, is, but like, that was like my whole thing, was just worried about the image, because you're so like, aware of the cameras, and so like everyone is all like so blitzed up for the cameras, and I was never used to that, really. I've been in front of, it's not my first time on camera, but that being on TV, and
did you like that, or could you live without that? Like, would you take that or leave it if it like having to be like spotlight like that, where it's like, is that something that you found like?
No, I could totally
take it. Fed like,
I could totally take it. Yeah. There's like aspects to it. The way that the show is kind of produced, though, it definitely amps up your, kind of fight or flight instincts.
I'm sure.
you know, or it amps up your anxiety.
Yeah.
But it was cool, man. It was really cool. There's a lot of amazing musicians, and you know, there's a lot of things I wanted to do on that show that, like, you know, there's things I did do that I wanted to do, but there's so much more.
Yeah.
You know. But when I came home, it was like one of the best experiences was just playing at the Fillmore, like,
Yeah.
and like the energy that night, like coming home and like just everybody being there,
being around. Yeah.
yeah. And I even got this guy, Eric Gales, on stage with us that night, because I had met him the night prior of our show.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, it was during Christmas time. He was doing like a kind of holiday Christmas show.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he had a broken toe or a broken foot.
Okay.
And I was at this get together that he was doing in Greensboro, and at the end of the night, after kind of just the whole jam session and everything, I asked him if he wanted to come over and jam in Charlotte tomorrow at our show. I'm doing you know, a kind of coming home party from when I was on The Voice, and wanted to see if he wanted to come and join us. And he came up and played a song, had the crutches and everything, and it was insane.
I'm sure that's on videotape somewhere, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
it is, absolutely.
Probably a good memory.
Yeah, it's totally. You can find it online and stuff too. It was so cool, man, and he was so gracious, and he played amazingly, and it was it was such a great night.
You mentioned like some of the other musicians on the show. I was curious, like when you play, like, do you get to play with, like, I mean, like, I'm sure there's a drummer and some things like that. Like, what's the
the band is like world class, obviously.
What's the interaction with them like? Do you get to like talk to them
you
extensively
like
at all?
rehearsals and stuff.
That's
and,
probably pretty, sweet.
Arrangements. Yeah, super cool.
That would be
like, and the way they communicate and understand everything is, it's
they
like
have
such
to
a breath
be,
of fresh air, and so cool.
They seem like they're the epitome of like. I mean, they have to be, right? Like anything you need played, they're gonna play it.
Yeah.
Like that's probably
they're like jukeboxes.
Are they? Yeah. Like, and do you just give them like what your idea is, and they're just gonna like they're figuring it out, or is some of that stuff managed?
Yeah,
before
I mean,
you get to that point, or you just kind of walk in and it's like an open book for you at that point.
Oh, they have an idea of what to do, and that was another thing about my experience on The Voice, is that, like, things were presented in a way that they wanted things to be, and I wasn't the easiest, like, so.
Hey, that's all right.
They just had arrangements already developed, and I didn't identify with them. Like, so I was like,
Can we change it?
Can we do this arrangement instead?
Yeah.
They were cool. They're totally cool with it, but there's only like so much time. You get a half an hour with them.
Wow. You just got to like bust it out.
And then like a couple days later, you're going to perform it. You're going to do it,
Yeah.
I'm like, did we get everything?
Basically, you got to show up ready, and that's.
Well, and I'm sure they're used to like such a wide array of people. Like if it were me rolling up there, like I wouldn't know anything about arranging, and I'd be like, what are we doing?
Well, and you're playing with them, whereas like not everybody's really doing that, and so I'm sure that probably makes a difference too. Like if somebody's just singing, versus actually jumping in and playing one of the instruments,
definitely.
I'm sure that.
I'm not the first like songwriter or like arranger to get on there with them. Obviously.
No, I just mean like I got to imagine
they gotta be used
if
to
you're
it.
coming in with just a vocal, I'm sure there's almost arrangement wise, it's probably a little less.
I gotta imagine that's what they would like, because it's easier for their day. You know?
But it's better. But it's cooler on TV for you to be playing. Like, I mean, they totally love that from an audience perspective. Like to be watching somebody, and like if they're good at playing an instrument, which you are, like getting to showcase that. I mean, it's a part of the story, it's part of who you are. It'd be weird to leave it off, like on a show that's about artistry and musicians too. Like, why would you leave out like basically what amounts to, I don't know, like how much do you feel like guitar is a part of what you do? It's got to be at least half, right? Like, I mean, that's such a huge part of
the guitar. Helps me convey what I want, what I'm hearing, so I mean, I'm attached to it in that aspect.
Yeah.
I like putting it down though.
Do you?
Yeah.
I hate putting guitars down. I'm so nervous without a guitar in my hands. Like,
Yeah.
I freaking panic. Usually I'll leave one on and just not play
I totally understand that. I mean, I have totally been there, man. For me now, it's just like I'm so attached to like making sure the musical landscape is the way that I'm so crazy about that. I need it to be, a certain way. So
It sounds like you had quite the like crash course in what does it mean to like be in public like that though. I mean, couple hundred shows or however many shows a year you said like as a young kid. And then
I was literally in high school and stuff. And
it's almost like a course leading you up to now you're on camera on The Voice. You know what I mean? Like
national TV.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it sounds like you have at least some experience to draw on that was helpful. I'm sure.
Yeah. There was one experience that like I left the rehearsal like for The Voice just like, oh my God, I'm a butt. It's like there were some backup singers and I was like, I love you guys are amazing, but could you not do that? And like I'm so sorry because they were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I was like, oh man, I don't remember what I said. I think I was like, you guys sound great. Could you just not
I got
sing
one.
at that point?
I got a story for you. So one time I was singing, and dude, like no joke, I'm literally like on a microphone. I got in-ears in, and all of a sudden I literally, this sounds gonna be so bad. I smell breath, like someone else's
breathing so
someone
much.
else's breath, and I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And I look over, and the bassist, which not my wife, who also plays bass, but if that,
Not me.
I would have been all right with that. But all of a sudden, I look over, and the bassist, who I don't really know, like I didn't bring him in or anything like that. The bassist is over my shoulder singing into the microphone, and I'm like, what? Like wasn't planned. Nobody asked for it. Just started happening. It wasn't on key, and it's starting to come through like in my in-ears too. Like I'm starting to hear it.
Oh, that's
And I'm
okay.
like-
So that's really weird.
I'm like,
yeah.
oh crap, and
Your family in the audience.
He was singing
just
like in
laughing
your
at you.
microphone, kind of with you.
Yeah, he was trying to just like join.
It was a church
Like
thing.
we're like Jackson 5 right
It was
now.
a church thing, so there was a niceness to it that I abandoned as soon as we got done. Like I was like, hey, I don't know what that was. We're not gonna keep doing that. Like there's just moments where no matter what the situation, there's sometimes there's practical, and I'm like, you can talk to whoever's like to the person in charge. That wasn't me, but that's not gonna keep happening. And that moment was one of those where I was just like, what just happened? And I looked out, and everybody that I knew was just dying of laughter, and I'm like, so I had
like
this
looking
like
around like what's
I'm just
going
trying
on?
to not like
react.
and like
Right.
trying to like not even just keep a straight face, but just like not cause a bigger distraction by like addressing it like right there in the middle of what's going on. Like so that moment for me was just like I look back on it, and like the people that were there for that, they kind of
That's so
they
funny,
kind of
man.
still joke around with me. They're like, hey, remember that time? I'm like, yeah, I remember that time.
You're saying he was
It was a
like he was
nightmare.
trying to do that thing like where you like kind of like sing into the same mic
Yeah,
together.
he was
kinda,
trying
right?
to just like.
Well,
and, like chant with you.
The ask had been that I think at some point there was an ask to sing, and and he got told no, and like he just didn't like it.
Oh, so he just kind of like
Just
found his
so just
opportunity
kind
to
of
do
like
it
found
again.
his moment and went for it, which is like cool, whatever. Like I mean, more power to him, I guess. But
You know who you are.
yeah. For me, I was like, hey. Let's not do that again. We had to go back up and play again, and so I was like, no way. And that moment for me was one of those.
Thanks, no thanks.
Sometimes you just, there's really obvious things that have to be said. That was one of those moments for
Yeah.
me.
I've seen some great shows, seen some horrible ones. I mean,
Yeah.
played some great shows, played some horrible ones. so-
Yeah. Is there a horrible one that's like do you have like a show gone wrong story that sticks out? That sounds like a yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the worst one I think that I ever played was this thing it's called Little Woodstock.
Okay.
Yeah, of course it's like Woodstock, cuz Woodstocks have notoriously always been a disaster, but yeah, it was called Little Woodstock, and it was put together by these people that like literally lived like they were trying to like be like the Manson family.
Okay. Yeah.
It was super strange. And when we got there, it was completely muddy everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
is this really about to be this? We like showed up and, we're just getting mud all over everything. And it was crazy. There was this house that was across the way from the stage. It was actually not a bad stage, just kind of basic, like wooden, like, I don't even know, like 15 by 15.
Yeah.
15 by 12 or something stage. And like they had me do my band like played a pretty fun set, but then like it just went really downhill. It started raining. They invited me and Jordan. You remember Jordan?
Yeah.
Who plays in Killakoi now. But he and I were like, we followed the guy that was, he was like the head of this, like these people. And we went to his house and he offered like spice to us and like
Okay.
mushrooms. And we were like, no, thank you.
It became an event.
Yeah, we're like, we should probably get out of here. It was like a peace pipe that had. And then we were like, "What is it?" And he was like, "It's like synthetic.
You'll find out.
Synthetic stuff."
One
and
of
we were
those.
like,
What is it? You'll find out. We played one where I was like, we played it was a wedding, and we got done, and we were kind of hanging out a little bit, but by the time we had finished playing, everybody was so just trashed that the check had disappeared, and we were like,
"Oh,
it was one of those moments." And I'm like,
They're like, "Can we mail it to you?"
And
we're like,
literally had
no,
so
no.
I just never left until somebody paid me. Yeah, but in the time that I'm leaving, like I watched this interaction go down where it's like somebody talking about like they were like, "Hey, are you leaving?" And he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go." And they're like, "Here, have another." Blah, blah, blah. He's like, "I'm getting ready to drive. Like, I'm done." And they're like, "So?" Like, I'm like, "What do you mean so?"
Not so.
What do you mean so? I was like,
hold on.
I had to have been I was probably
we were like 20.
I was pretty young. And he was like, even the guy, he was like,
Are you for real?
really? Like, there's some moments like that where you're just like, oh gosh.
Oh man, yeah.
I was glad that dude.
I bet you were epileptic, like just mad.
I was glad the dude turned it down and like, made a good call. But it was still one of those where you were like, okay, the money hasn't, like nobody's paid. Half the people that I'm talking to
are not going to remember me.
Like whatever, but they're not here right now. Like, how do I work this one out? You're just trying to navigate. And like at that point, I'm like, we were trying to get the pizza there was a conversation about when the pizza was going to get around. And I was like, I would literally go get it as long as when I get back there's a check, like whatever needs to happen here. Those moments are always a little like tough to navigate. You're figuring out like, all right,
I remember
not to
the
be
one,
that guy, but
the gig, there were not a lot of people there. I don't even remember exactly what the venue was. I won't name it anyway, but we played this gig. It was us and like 2 other acts, I think, or whatever. And the guys that went after us did good. And it was like only the members of the band who were there in the audience. So we were all like staying to like kind of support each other, so that they had somebody watching. And the last group that went up, we all tried to stay as long as we possibly could. But like they were very clearly like teenagers. It was like the first show they had ever played ever. And it was rough.
One of the guys, it was basically like almost all like our stuff is like, you could call it alternative, you could call it like bordering on rock, but point being it's a little bit more like moody, whatever you want to call it. And the other bands were all like either like kind of like punk or metal, and the dude in the last band asked for a capo.
Yeah.
In the middle of the show.
No, everyone in the venue
straight up got booed.
Does anybody have a capo?
Everybody in the room was like, "Are you joking? You just asked for a capo at this show?" Like, no, that's not it was a pretty hilarious call. Which, funny enough, I'm the one that gave him the capo. I had one on me. But
no lie. You're the one that asked for it.
No, it was not me. He definitely got booed on his own accord. But I was like, hey, whatever, man.
If you can't play without it,
that sucks.
Well, hey, so we're running a little low on time, but let me kind of wrap up with a couple of questions. We have one that we always ask everybody, which it's kind of to me what I love about it. and kind of our heart behind the show anyway, is that amongst musicians and even amongst people who love and listen to music, that there's something about music that is able to kind of like speak to people across like many different walks of life, and it kind of brings people together in a way that very few things do. And so like, even though I might not know anything about you, which I'm learning, but not know anything about
Same
you,
here,
like
man.
we like some of the same bands, and if we were at the same show, probably there would be moments that collectively people end up having together, you know. And so the question that we ask, because I think it's something that everybody relates to, is what does music mean to you, and why is it important?
It's people's faith a lot of time, you know, a substitute for religion, you know. I mean, there's something very magical about music. Keeps people, you know, from doing horrible things to themselves or to other people, you know, brings them out of dark times. I definitely feel the same way about that, especially like, you know, playing music. You know, it's my dream to be, you know, able to be the conduit for something beautiful that helps at least one person, you know.
Yeah, I think I was talking to
that.
somebody the other day about music, and it sort of has this element of it that there's, I think I don't know if every musician's like this, but it's just in you. Like there's a piece of it. It's not like I like worked to figure out I was supposed to do it. Like I just knew. And like I remember telling my dad, like, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. And he's like, you need to work at it more before you're gonna know that. And I'm like, okay, but I already know. And there's an element of that for whatever reason is like, I think amongst people that really do it because they love it anyway, like seems to be common. And I think that for me has always been an indicator of like what I need to be doing with my life. like, well, you know, I could spend 12 hours doing this and I blink and 12 hours have passed, or I can, you know, fight to try to do a bunch of stuff that I don't care about. And that like, you know, I mean, it might be good for me even, but there's elements of it where you recognize like, I think this might be what I'm supposed to be doing. And
buying gear and being financially irresponsible.
Yeah. You know, that's part of it. That's part of it. You know, however many guitars deep, you're like, we need one more because this pickup's different than that pickup or whatever. But for me, music has always been a thing that, like, this is a spot for honesty for me.
Nice.
Like, I have a really hard time, even like if I'm trying to tell you about myself or like open up, like the vulnerability of it is super difficult for me. Yeah, ironically, I can like sit down and write a song, and like even like literally I did this with you 2 weeks ago, where I was like, hold on, let me just go write, and like I just brought a song back and it communicated better than like what I could have like logicked out or tried to say in my head, and it came across even more logical, but it was totally like a little bit more of like a spiritual thing for me than it was anything else, where I was like, all right, like I want to share this, but like how, what? And then before I knew it, I was songwriting. I have journal entries where I'm like writing. I get like a quarter of the way through the page and then there's just a song. Like I just like abandoned the idea of trying to like word it out and just start writing instead.
Nice.
And that's been a super healing thing for me. And writing for me has been a part that is like a specific love within music for me, is writing. That's been a huge thing for me. It's been good for the mental health.
That's good to hear, man. I mean, I definitely struggle with a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
Actually conveying it into a song that, you know, something, you know, a piece of me that's, you know, like earnest and, you know, true.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, that's the hardest thing to do as a musician, as a songwriter, for sure. Be honest and show it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I struggle with. I struggle with showing it, you know. I have so much music that no one's heard. You know,
me too.
Which I regret so much.
Dude, yeah, that's real. I think my book right now has like 110 or something like that in it. And I think like of 110 songs, like maybe like 20 are out, you know? So there's so much on the table. And that's just the ones that are finished. That's not the ideas that I never went back to or anything like that, you know, where you're just like, oh, I should have finished that or followed through there. But
I hear you. Yeah, I can't wait to for people to hear the record that I mean, actually, when this airs, it's probably gonna be out.
How many songs are on that?
9.
9.
Yeah,
there you go.
it should be.
It should be.
There should be. Hopefully.
So 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
And it's called Distract Me.
Okay.
And it's a title track album.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well,
I'm really excited. It's been years in the making.
Yeah. So the last question we have is what's next for your new music. So this is perfect. But so it's called Distract Me. It's been years in the making. It's 8 to 10 songs.
Yep.
Is there like a central theme behind that? I mean, I don't know what, I mean, Distract Me obviously is like one of the titles, but like what's the starting place for you, like as a writer in that record?
Man, it's kind of it's a lot of love themes, and kind of not just like relationship, but also like there's a couple songs on it that are kind of like love letters to the world, things like that, and it's got a lot of movement.
Yeah,
so it's something I'm really excited about and really, really ready to get off my chest.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really.
What like, do you have a time frame on that? Like you said by the time this comes out, you're thinking? So like next year sometime, like early next year. Very cool. Yeah. Well, we're excited to hear it, man. And I kind of want to just, we'll end with this, which is just, I know you're getting ready to share a song with us. Is that, I'm assuming off that?
It is,
upcoming?
yeah.
Yeah, will you tell us what that is? And
it's called You Go Down Smooth.
Okay. Anything about it? Or you just want to play it?
It's called You Go Down Smooth.
Okay. Well, so we're just going to play it. Well, Jake, it has been a very pleasure to have you here, man. Dude, thank you for coming and hanging out with us and talking through like just music and
thank you all.
Your stories and artists.
Before we transition and get to hear your song, just real quick, just shout out where people can find you on social media or Spotify or where else.
Just look me up, Jake Haldenvang, Haldenvang. It's just my last name on Facebook. So yeah, like on Instagram, it's my full name, Jake Haldenvang. I'm on, Apple Music and Spotify and Amazon Music. So, just like wherever you want to like listen to music,
Well, again, Jake, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, man.
We're going to close here. And without any further ado, here is you. That was awesome. I was fully professionally closing the show. That's perfect. Bottom.
There you go. That was good.
All right. We're going to wrap here. Without further ado, here is You Go Down Smooth by Jake Haldenvang. Thanks, guys.
Cut me down at the knees if you wanna. Looking at my palm and the powers in another, yeah. I saw you vibrating all over the room, babe. I know you saw my heart turn blue, yeah. All I know is you can't see me and it feels so low. All I am is a wild man howling for you. You go down smooth, but you're bad at the side of me making a move. You go down smooth, face to face, but I'm about to lose, yeah. Ooh. Yeah, in this little game of hide and seek, you always win and my knees feel weak, yeah. Don't mean to sound bitter, don't mean to upset. You're the one that I long for. What did you expect? All I know is you can't see me, and it feels so low. All I am is a wild man howling for you. You go down smooth, but you're bad at the sight of me making a move. You go down smooth. Ooh, ooh, I'm a wild man. Ooh, and I'm howling for you, yeah. My soul's on fire. I'm a wild man, and I'm howling for you. Oh, yeah, yeah. You go down smooth, but you bite at the side of me making a move. You go down smooth, face to face. You go down smooth, but you're right at the side of me making a move. You go down smooth. I'm a wild